Parkour and free running have been growing a lot. It may look dangerous, like this, or this. But if you ask any experienced parkour practitioner, they will tell you that it is not a dangerous sport. We wanted to find out if this is actually true, so we asked Dr. Ben Waller, who has been studying injuries for years in multiple sports, including parkour.
That's an interesting question. Is parkour dangerous? It kind of's got that image that it's this extreme sport. And then you have the other thing where you've got things that go wrong, and when it goes wrong, people like to see that. So that gets a lot of publicity. And this is what I thought when I first heard about parkour. And then when I researched it and started working with the Vascular Parkour Academy, it was turned my perspective completely round. It's actually almost like an art form, learning to use your body in different ways, in different situations, learning to control who you are in your environment. So we asked people who are practicing parkour, what kind of injuries have you had over the last 1 year? And overall we had 412 answers, so that was actually quite a high number. And on a whole, if you think about exposure hours, per 1,000 exposure hours, that's doing parkour for 1,000 hours, the average number of injuries was 4.1. What does that tell us? Well, at football it was about 5.26. And then the types of injuries were quite interesting. So everybody might imagine that parkour has lots of broken bones, lots of major injuries. But in fact, the vast majority that were reported were only bruising or cuts, and they had very short periods of time away from the sport. So in terms of is it dangerous? Well, according to what we've looked at, it's no more dangerous than football.
It's really about the mentality of the practice and how we practice things. We start from little things on the ground level, and then we start building them up, taking them into more difficult circumstances, more difficult environments. And what we've actually learned from this is risk evaluation skills. We learn how to look at our environment. We see, okay, that thing's risky, that's not. Then we learn to evaluate ourselves, our own skills, our own mental feeling, how we're feeling that day. And then when you kind of combine this risk evaluation to a very high skill level, things that are seemingly crazy looking are actually really, really easy and really safe.
So unlike people usually expect, parkour is a low-risk sport, and this is based on a valid research. In this new sport, a growing trend has been to build parkour-specific training equipment and areas. How are safety issues taken into consideration in Lappset when designing parkour equipment?
Of course, the baseline is that we follow the standards. That should be taken for granted. I think from product point of view, the most important thing is that the risks are kind of obvious for the user, so that you can predict what's going to happen. So, for example, if we take a surface material, of course it shouldn't be slippery, but also it should behave the same way in all the different environments, whether it's raining, it's sunny, it's cold.
The built parkour areas are more safe, basically, than training somewhere else, because someone has been already thinking the safety issues. Normally it's built according to some safety standard. Someone has been thinking through the distances. Falling down from there is safe. There's nothing underneath that can harm you. The surfaces are not slippery. There's no balls or cars coming through and any guys passing by. So basically that's it.
Parkour motivates the youth to move, or a small section of the youth to move. It's done its job. Because obesity is growing, juvenile diabetes is becoming more prevalent, musculoskeletal injuries, diseases, low back pain becoming more prevalent. And one of the main risks is lack of movement. So if we were to again talk about the risks of parkour compared to the benefits, you've got more risk of not moving than you have of moving using parkour.